Good evening and welcome everybody. I'm Bill Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and I'm so pleased to have a full house tonight for our June 14th, 2023 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. In just a couple minutes, we will begin the open forum portion of our meeting. The open forum is the portion of the meeting when members of the public have the opportunity to share their comments with the town board. If you're watching us tonight on YouTube or on our cable access channel, you'll have to log into Zoom in order to speak and participate in the open forum tonight or in the public hearing that we have scheduled to consider the removal of certain trees in town. If you're not sure how to do that, there are instructions on the Town of Brighton webpage at townofbrighton.org. As always, we continue to make our meetings fully accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing community with our ASL interpreters, Allie and Heather. Thank you both. It's great to have you here. And as a reminder, the agenda for tonight's meeting, as well as all the materials we'll be looking at in making the decisions we're going to be considering tonight, they're all available on the table in the back of the room, and they're available on the Town of Brighton webpage. Now today we celebrate Flag Day, a day that we celebrate the ideals of liberty and justice for all. Those ideals are symbolized in the American flag. On June 14th, 1777, the Second Continental Congress adopted the flag of the United States, describing a flag with 13 white stars on a blue field and 13 red and white stripes. And of course, that design continues today now with 50 stars. In that vein, and to honor our flag and the men and women who have fought and died under that national symbol of ours, if you're able to, I ask that you rise and join in starting the meeting with the pledge. I will ask Councilmember Warner to lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. Chris, I'm going to ask you to join me at the podium. This evening we are issuing a number of proclamations, but the first one, and the reason so many people are here tonight, we have a number of art students and their teachers and Brighton High School principal, Tom Hall, all here this evening to celebrate first a challenge and then a solution and the part that they all played in that solution. And I'm going to ask our students, parents if you'd like to, as well as their teachers, Katie Malley and Sarah Jesu, along with Principal Tom Hall, to please join Councilmember Warner and myself up at the podium. Come on up, everybody. Not that long ago, we became aware that the painted signal boxes around town were fading in the sun. Councilmember Warner had taken the lead in having those signal boxes painted by other Brighton High School art students several years ago. So he reached out to Ms. Malley, great name by the way. Chris used some of his own elbow grease to remove an anti-graffiti coating that had protected those paintings on the signal boxes. And then he turned the boxes over to these wonderful Brighton High School art students. Today, those signal boxes look new again. And we would like to say thank you to our students with a proclamation, and then we'll have a slideshow. Whereas, the decoration of traffic signal boxes found along highway rights-of-way has become a public art movement across the country, transforming bland rectangular boxes into vehicles of artistic expression. Whereas, upon the suggestion of a Sustainability Oversight Committee member, Councilmember Chris Warner decided to spearhead Brighton's own traffic signal box art and reached out to Brighton High School's studio art class for art proposals in the spring of 2015. And whereas after designs were selected, students undertook decorating the boxes, which were primed, painted, and anti-graffiti sealed with a special sealant. Whereas constant exposure to the elements caused the images to fade. And there's the challenge that I referred to a moment ago. So Brighton High School teachers, Katie Malley and Sarah Jesu, joined the Art Box adventure and had their AP Studio Art and Advanced Drawing and Painting classes start to refurbish the original designs. And whereas, once again, the traffic signal boxes were stripped and primed, ready for the student artists who beautifully recreated Selena Tassone's creative thinking at Westfall and Winton, Dana Dale's Dalmatians in front of the firehouse in the 12 Corners, Catherine Wu's Birds of Brighton at Westfall and Lac de Ville, and Abigail Teet's Winged Sneakers at Westfall and Berkeley Square. And whereas teachers Katie Malley and Sarah Jesu, along with their talented students, demonstrated the kind of community spirit that makes Brighton a great place to live. So now, therefore, be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and all of the members of our Town Council, do hereby thank Brighton High School, Katie Malley and Sarah Jesu, and their students for rejuvenating our traffic signal box art and extending the vision first put forth in 2015 by former Brighton High School art students. This proclamation is signed this 14th day of June, 2023, by myself and my colleagues on the town board. And I am going to I have two proclamations because we have two teachers. I'm going to ask Katie if either one of you want to say anything, or if you want to go right into the slideshow. Go for it.
I'll just say really quickly, it was my honor to work with Chris, and he's been fantastic to bring this project to our students. And then I love how brave and excited and passionate you guys were, and all the other students that weren't able to make it tonight. And you did a really fantastic job just kind of jumping in and really creating some beautiful works of art. So thank you guys so much for your hard work, and thank you, Chris, for bringing it to us.
Then I'm going to turn the podium over to Councilmember Warner, who's going to show us a slideshow.
You bet. And it really was a thrill working with you folks. It's been so easy. All I had to do was make a white canvas, and you guys took it from there. And you can tell a real skilled craftsperson or an artist, they look at something that's daunting, and they just step up and create. And I was amazed how quickly it evolved, how it just came right out of those boxes. And you guys did a terrific job. So here we go. Maybe. Steve. Here we go. Wrong direction. There you go. You recognize him? Or is that a her? No. Keep your eye out for this guy. Here's Adam Heinecker, one of my neighbors. All you have to do in Brighton is ask for help. And that silicone coating was nasty. But here's the prime guy, here's the prime girl. And here are the students. Starting at 12 Corners, the first thing they did was sit on the box, of course. And then they began. And who is that red-faced guy? And the fact that they followed somewhat the same idea, but not the identical design, was very interesting to me. And I wanted to pause for a moment here. When the first boxes were done, Dan Amon, town clerk, congratulated us on a fine job, but he said, Chris, the next time you do dogs in the town of Brighton, would you please put collars and tags on them? And if you look closely at this dog, this is Danny the dog. Nice job, girls. On to the next box. This is the dandelion theme. But look how they first just simply draw. And there's the rendering of it, but then it has to be put on. And all of a sudden, it's yellow and done. Oh. But this was actually my favorite theme box, how thoughts and ideas are transmitted from one to another. And this, of course, is at Winton and Westfall. There we have it. Now on to the birds. This is at Lac de Ville and Westfall. Takes a little detail work. And again, that photo bomber there, I don't know. And I loved watching you guys paint this bug. You gave him a lot of character. And this bird's got attitude too. Not so much the snail, but beautiful. And there's the mob there. Beautiful job. Now on to the sneakers. This is at Barclay Square in Westfall. Now notice how this box is slightly different. The design is somewhat the same, but the black outline. But whose idea was that? That really makes the image pop. Nice job. And most of the paint made it onto the box. And on the one leg there, you see a happy face. That was unique. And there's Mrs. Maley off in her driving the bus. There you go. But there you go. Girls, terrific job. Thank you very much. You'll be able to drive by this box, and I hope it gives you a warm feeling.
Thank you.
Every time. All right? Thank you. And if I might, the truth is that this idea got passed along simply at Superintendent McGowan's breakfast meeting, and I mentioned it to Principal Tom Hall. Wouldn't it be great if? And the next thing I knew, I got contacted by Deborah Berger, the art teacher, who said yes, that it was going to be, and she then began the project, and Katie picked it up. So I'll start with Principal Hall. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. You are welcome to stay as long as you want tonight. You can stay for the rest of the proclamations. You can even stay for the auditor's report if you choose. However, maybe not. Okay, I am going to ask Councilmember Wilk to join me at the podium. Because next we have two special proclamations that mirror and celebrate the diversity of the town of Brighton. the town that is doing more than any town in upstate New York to act with intent in recognizing the importance of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, in every part of local government operations. First, we have a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth. Of course, Juneteenth is now the newest federal holiday, long overdue. The town of Brighton will be celebrating Juneteenth with an event here at Town Hall this Friday, June 16th at noon. We'll also be celebrating Juneteenth at the Brighton Farmers Market this Sunday from 9 to 1. And as part of that, market day long celebration, there will be a ceremony at 11:45. Now, of course, Town Hall will be closed in observance of the holiday on Monday, June 19th, although I have learned that our Parks Department will be working with some students from Hillel School who are doing a service project on Juneteenth, which I think is a wonderful thing. So thank you to Hillel, and thank you to our Park Superintendent, Matt Beeman, for that. But we do invite the entire community to join us for either or both the Friday ceremony or the farmers market ceremony. And Robin and I will read the proclamation. Whereas President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, effective June 1st, 1863, freed slaves in areas controlled by the Confederacy. But it was not until June 19th, 1865, that word reached the farthest outposts of slavery, when U.S. Major General Gordon Granger announced in Galveston, Texas, that under General Order 3, there was now, quote, an absolute equality of the personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, end quote. But at the same time, told the newly freed people to, quote, remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages, end quote, and were warned not to, quote, collect at military posts, and they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere, end quote. And
whereas free but still constrained socially and economically, the following celebration by freed slaves in Texas became an annual tradition for generations of descendants, and Juneteenth was spread across the country by African Americans moving in search of better opportunities. And
whereas Juneteenth finally became a national holiday in 2021, and it is both a celebratory and a somber day as we commemorate African American freedom and gather to truthfully acknowledge a period in our history that shaped and continues to influence our society today. And whereas
Juneteenth is a time for reflection and rejoicing, and also for assessment, self-improvement, and planning the future. Let us unite in our determination to join the ongoing struggle of African Americans to achieve equality in all facets of society, so they may live without fear and prosper in a country no longer divided along the ambiguous lines of race.
Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of our Town Council do hereby recognize June 19th, 2023 as Juneteenth in the town of Brighton, and we call upon all Brightonians to reject hate, repudiate racism, and promote Brighton's intentional culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this proclamation is signed on the 14th day of June, 2023, by myself and by my colleagues on the town board. Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
And finally, Pride is celebrated in most communities across America during the month of June, at least in most communities that celebrate Pride. Pride is a celebration of the rights and the very existence of the LGBTQ+ community in the face of those who would resist the right of members of that community to celebrate their authentic selves and to love and live as they choose to love and live. In the Rochester area, however, Pride has generally been celebrated during July, largely to allow people who live here to celebrate in other communities, like New York City, during June, and then celebrate here in July. And they do hold celebrations really across town, highlighted by the Pride Parade, the Pride Festival, and the Pride Picnic. Again, that's in July here, but there's really no time like the present, and really every day of the year, to celebrate the logic, the meaning, the importance of Pride. This year, the town of Brighton's employees, friends, and family will be marching as a group in the Pride Parade in Rochester on July 15th, and there will also be Pride celebrations here at Town Hall and at the Brighton Farmers Market in July, and we'll get into the particulars of those a little later, but let me read our Pride 2023 proclamation. Whereas representing people from across all cultures, incomes, geographies, and religions, the LGBTQ+ movement has helped people embrace who they are and love who they want, while pursuing legal protections and expanding civil rights for all. And whereas the LGBTQ+ community has worked tirelessly for respect, equality, and their very right to exist, and while remarkable progress has been made since Stonewall, the LGBTQ+ community has been singled out anew as some work to silence the community, eliminate or curtail basic human rights, and even erase the entire LGBTQ+ experience. And whereas this is a grave time for democracy and human rights in America, making the celebration of Pride especially important, so the voices of the LGBTQ+ community and their allies are heard and never silenced. Or whereas a time of celebration and reflection, Pride reminds us to remain vigilant and continue to take action to advance the cause of equality for all members of the diverse LGBTQ+ community and for all Americans, especially in this contentious time when hard-won rights are under siege in many states. And whereas the town of Brighton will celebrate Pride in many ways, with ceremonies at Town Hall and the Brighton Farmers Market, the display of the new Brighton Pride flag, and town employees participating as a group in the Rochester Pride Parade. Now therefore be it proclaimed that I, William W. Maley, Brighton Town Supervisor, and the members of our Town Council do hereby commit to celebrating Pride in the town of Brighton and urge all of our residents to join in this celebration, to commit to working for equal rights for all, and to uphold the simple truth that equal rights are human rights. And this proclamation is signed the 14th day of June, 2023, by myself and by my colleagues on the town board. And thank you to my colleagues for recognizing these two very important celebrations. Okay, next, our auditors will be presenting a summary of their audit of the town's 2022 financial statements, and I will turn the meeting over for that presentation. It's going to be up here on the screen, so I think we'll decamp to the back of the room. I think you're
No, I don't think so.
oh, you're not? Then
No.
we'll stay here. Even better.
So you surprised me there. So, but thank you for inviting me here tonight to discuss the 2022 audit of the town of Brighton. And, my name's Tom Zuber. I'm a partner with the firm Mangel Metzger Barr. My other partner, Mike DeBotts, is the primary partner on the job. He's out of town tonight, but I did meet with Mike and the Finance Committee last week, June 7th, and we did talk about the basic financial statements for the town of Brighton. In fact, we had a very good meeting. We spent some time and we talked about year-over-year variances. We talked about budget variances. We talked about reserves and fund balance, as well as internal controls and checks and balances. So it was a very, very productive meeting. You have received in your packets or through email today various reports. So I think there were a total of 5 reports that we've issued for the town of Brighton. And again, the basic financial statements, we did issue an unqualified opinion, no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, which is really where you want to be. That is the opinion that you're looking for. So again, very good. You know, and like many other communities, many other local governments, we continue to see challenges out there. Certainly challenges relating to inflation, challenges relating to staffing needs, challenges relating to various health and welfare benefits that are out there. And again, the town continues to be in very good financial condition. Really primarily, when we look at that, we look at how is the town managing and communicating their long-term plans, looking at their reserves, their fund balance. And as you know, the town does have a fund balance plan that they monitor on an annual basis. And again, you ended the year in very good financial condition. One of the things that we do know in the financial statements is you know, one of the reasons for the very positive financial results obviously is the results of the sales tax that has been collected over the year. Again, that came in very strong during the 2022 calendar year, and certainly will be something to monitor going forward. I know the first few months of the year were very strong, but I think the last couple months the results weren't quite as consistent with what we've seen for the past few years. So certainly something that you'll want to continue to monitor. But again, you ended the year in very good financial position. One of the other items we talked about is, as you know, the different federal stimulus dollars that the town received. You received a little over $3.6 million in federal stimulus monies, right? And so those dollars you'll be looking to spend, and the town does have a very nice plan to utilize those dollars. As you know, those dollars are earmarked for very specific purposes, right? And so the town does have a very nice plan for that. So again, reviewing and monitoring the reserves and fund balance, the town does a very good job of that, as well as having a nice long-term plan. So again, very good positive financial results for the year. Okay? In addition to the basic financial statements, we also issue an internal control communication. So again, with any audit, part of the audit process is to sit down and review the different internal controls, checks and balances that the town has over all of the different financial cycles. So the checks and balances over the payroll processing or the cash procurement and disbursements procedures. And again, I'm pleased to report no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. So it's very positive. A few minor procedural items that we recommend certainly to enhance what the town's currently doing, but again, very positive from the financial statement standpoint. Okay, so again, we did spend quite a bit of time with the Finance Committee. Did have a very good conversation. Does anybody have any questions?
Well, actually, we do have a gentleman in the back who I believe would like to ask a question, and although normally that would be done during the open forum, since I believe his question relates to the audit, I will invite you to come to the podium, and if you would, please state your name and address, and you can ask your question. If Mr. Zuber can answer it, he will do so.
Yes, I'm curious, is there a line item for how much money the town has seized from people through civil asset forfeiture for example, when the cops pull somebody over and they say, oh, that $25 that you have in your pocket, I think that you have that because of some illegal activity. I'm going to take it, and we're going to keep it for the town, but I'm never going to charge you with anything. I'm just going to take that out of your money, out of your pocket. So that's one, civil asset forfeiture dollars. And two, is there a line item for property seized as part of eminent domain? I know the town was trying to seize part of the side of the road along East Ave near Council Rock to build a sidewalk there. And my question was, why couldn't you just pay the homeowner for the property? So the question is there a line item for eminent domain dollars, and what would that amount be?
And, well, go ahead and answer, Tom, and then I have just a couple.
My comment would be that I would direct the question to the Director of Finance for the town of Brighton. Those are very detailed questions, and the Finance Director for the town would be able to comment on those questions. The financial statement audit is very broad and based on the basic financial statements, and although I'm sure there are specific line item details, I would just direct any comments or questions from the community to the Director of Finance.
Thanks, Tom. And I do want to address the second part of your question relating to the East Avenue sidewalk. One possible alternative, the construction of sidewalks in that area is very important. We want to make sure that students going to East Avenue to the Allens Creek School there have a safe path to get to school. One alternative that was proposed by the State Department of Transportation would potentially involve a taking of land that would have to be done by eminent domain, which involves the purchase of land through a legal process under the state eminent domain procedures law. We have asked the State Department of Transportation to consider other alternatives that would allow a sidewalk to be built without disturbing either that stone wall or any part of that homeowner's property. We continue to have dialogue with the state DOT, and it is our hope that that can be done without any need for taking, purchasing through eminent domain any of that property.
If I could just provide a additional answer, and that is this. There is no current eminent domain proceeding. There is no current effort by the town to take anyone's property in the town of Brighton.
That's correct.
And if we do go through eminent domain, the owner of the property gets paid either an agreed upon appraised value or a judicially determined appraised value. We don't take their property. We can't take their property for free. They are fairly compensated. But right now, there is nothing we have pending on East Avenue or anywhere else in the town of Brighton for taking anyone's property.
That's correct. Thank you, Ken. Good clarification. Any other questions for Mr. Zuber, or any other more presentation you want to make, Tom?
Oh, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Thank you for the work you do, and thank you for recognizing the fact that we continue to work very hard in the interest of taxpayers in Brighton to maintain the fiscal stability of the town's finances.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, we'll now begin our open forum, which we hold at the beginning of every town board meeting. The open forum is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board concerning any matter relating to the town, whether or not it's an item on our agenda this evening. If you're here in person and would like to speak during the open forum, simply raise your hand so we can recognize you. If you're participating in the meeting remotely and would like to speak during the open forum, or for that matter, during the public hearing that'll be coming up in a few minutes, you must first join the meeting on Zoom. And as I mentioned previously, there are detailed instructions for doing so on the town's webpage. If you're doing so remotely, you'll be admitted from the Zoom waiting room by the host if you use the Zoom raised hand function. I do ask all speakers during the open forum, whether you're speaking here in person or remotely, to please state your name and address. Please limit your remarks to 3 minutes. I'll give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. We may not be able to answer questions that you may ask, particularly if your question relates to a matter that's not on tonight's agenda. But our goal here tonight and during the open forum that we hold at every town board meeting is to give you the opportunity to share your thoughts with the board and for us to be able to listen to your words. So therefore, please direct any remarks or questions to the town board and not to the room or to other speakers. And please refrain from personal attacks and from outbursts of any kind during the open forum, out of respect for the speakers and out of respect for everyone here tonight. So is there anyone that would like to address the town board during the open forum? Mr. Tetnoff, yes, come on up.
I came during the last meeting to ask about a FOIL, a Freedom of Information Law request about an illegal trespass that happened by a Brighton police officer. The police officers' name were L. Barcelos and L. Bianco at the post office. I asked for the dash cam video, the report, and all the records associated with that. I also asked if there was an agreement between the town and the post office to enable the local police department to have jurisdiction to enforce state laws on that federal property. It's a U.S. post office. The town can't just, based on a whim, enforce state laws on federal property. That's not the law in New York State, nor any other state in this nation. So my plea would be either communicate that to the staff at the post office that need to enter an agreement with the Brighton Police Department, or let them know that the correct authority to call for help whenever they have an issue is the postal police. That is what they're supposed to do. They don't seem to be informed correctly, and the supervisor keeps telling everybody, whenever there's a problem, dial 911. Call somebody else to fix your issue. My plea is instead educate yourself on what the correct procedure is, what the right policies are, and do the right thing. Follow the rules. If you don't know what the rules are, you can ask the town attorney, you could ask the town supervisor, who will refer you to the town attorney, who will never return any of your calls or emails. My specific question was, so this was an illegal trespass by L. Barcelos and L. Bianco. What would it take for the town to arrest a town employee when they commit a crime? Is it only a Class A felony, a murder? Is that the only reason when a town employee does something illegal, there's no consequence, there's no accountability? And that is just wrong. Follow the rules. My initial request to get these records were denied by investigator Ryan K. Lehigh. How come there's no consequence to him for illegally denying my FOIL request? And this is a general trend that I've noticed over the past 8 or 10 years or so. The supervisor paints this magnificent, rosy picture of the town of Brighton, that we have no problems here, that everything is fantastic. No, there are issues here, both at the high school and in the town, and just trying to paint a bright picture of no problems is wrong. Please acknowledge that there are issues and what you're doing, and what we can do as
30 seconds, Mr. Tedroff.
members of the town to help improve things. And if you don't have a plan or don't know what to do, please state that and say, there are these issues and we're open to ideas to improve things. And that Hampshire Drive House was taken probably for back taxes and not being in habitable shape, but that was something the town has taken in the past, I think, year or so. And one nice thing that the high school students could do is with these new LED lights going into the lampposts, maybe they can redesign something for the Brighton Town logo, which will be obsolete when these new lights take over that style.
Thank you, Mr. Tedroff. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board this evening during the open forum? Hearing none, then can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Bill, I move that we approve the agenda.
Second?
I think I heard
We'll give it to Robin.
Okay. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Next, we have public hearings, and tonight we have one public hearing. But it is a public hearing under the town tree law to consider the removal of several trees that are located in the town right-of-way along various streets in town. A 47-inch silver maple at 39 Dale Road, a 30-inch silver maple at 166 Thackeray, a 42-inch silver maple and a 40-inch American elm at 50 Commonwealth Road, a 42-inch silver maple at 87 Branford Road, a 32-inch silver maple at 40 Branford Road, and a 40-inch Norway spruce at 58 Sunset Drive. Has the necessary legal notice been given to hold this public hearing?
Well, yes, Supervisor, notice was in the Daily Record on, I believe, May 16th.
Thank you, Dan. Then I declare this public hearing to be open, and I'll turn it over to Commissioner of Public Works Everett Garcia for a brief summary.
Thank you, Supervisor. Yeah, these are all trees that have been evaluated by our town arborist, further considered by the Tree Council and the Public Works Committee, and have been deemed hazardous and deemed that they should be removed. And so that's the consideration for this public hearing.
Thank you. Yes, the Tree Council, made up of the Conservation Board members and the Public Works Committee, reviewed each of these. Is there anyone here to address the board on the matter of this public hearing? I will note that we did hear from the resident adjoining the Silver Maple at 166 Thackeray Road, that they are not able to attend tonight's meeting, but they will be able to attend our next meeting. So in a moment, I'm going to ask that you table only with respect to that tree before we take action one way or the other on the remaining trees. Again, is there anyone that would like to address the board during this public hearing on any of these trees? Then we're going to keep the public hearing open, and I'm going to ask first for a motion to table the matter with respect to the 30-inch silver maple at 166 Thackeray Road. Councilmember Corrado?
I move that in regards to the silver maple at 166 Thackeray Road, I move that we table that item.
Second.
And is there any discussion?
There is no discussion on a motion to
There is no discussion on a
table.
motion to table. You're right. Thank you, Ken. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer.
Aye. Then, Christine, can I have a motion on the action on the other trees?
Yes, on the remaining trees, I move that the remaining trees being town trees at 39 Dale Road, a 47-inch silver maple, 50 Commonwealth Road, a 42-inch silver maple and a 40-inch American elm, 87 Branford Road, a 42-inch silver maple, 40 Branford Road, a 32-inch silver maple, and 58 Sunset Drive, a 40-inch Norway spruce. I move that,
Adopt the resolution.
pardon me?
Adopt the resolution.
Thank you. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared so ably by the town attorney.
Second.
Oh, friendly amendment, did we get the 40-inch American elm at 50 Commonwealth?
I know it's in the,
Yeah.
it is in the text
I
of
don't-
the
yeah,
resolution.
okay.
Yes,
Great.
it
Just to
was
clarify
now.
that that is in. The only one, again, from the agenda that is not in this resolution is the 30-inch silver maple at 166 Thackeray. Just a quick question for you, Everett.
Was there a second to that motion?
Yes, there was.
I didn't hear that part. Thank you.
It was Chris Werner.
It's Chris.
Everett, is it the plan to replant trees at each of those locations?
Sorry, yes. For all of these locations, the recommendation is removal and replacement of these trees.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Can I have a motion to receive and file our communications this evening?
I move that we receive and file the communications.
Second.
We have 4 items of communication. 2 are from the chief concerning the retirement of 2 employees, James Tombiolo and Linda DeJohn. Chief, do you want to say a few words about both of them?
Yeah, it was actually Linda's last day today. She's been a records clerk for about 9 years. She came to us part-time quite a few years ago. She left for a little while and came back, and it's finally time for her to retire. So we wished her well today.
Her decision that it's time
It was her
to
decision, yeah.
retire.
Yeah. And then Jim Tombiello, he's been with us for 20 years. He had prior service as a sheriff's deputy. He served honorably and faithfully this community for 20 years, and he's going to be missed. He finished out his last 6 months in our investigative division, which was really a dream of his to do. But again, I think he's realized it's time to retire, and we'll miss him.
We will miss him and certainly wish him the very best. We also have financial statements from the Brighton Fire District for 2022, together with correspondence from the District Director and Treasurer, Ted Aresti. And finally, we have a certificate from the now former President, Denny Powers, and Jerry Geist, Executive Director of the Association of Towns of the State of New York, confirming the membership of the town of Brighton in the New York State Association of Towns for 2023. We have a motion to receive and file all of those communications. Any further discussion on those? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio.
Aye.
Councilmember Werner.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt.
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado.
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy.
Aye. Committee reports, starting with Community Services. Robin?
Thank you, Bill. The Community Services Committee has not met in the intervening timeframe since our last town board meeting, but I do have a few quick updates from our Parks and Recreation Department heads. From our Parks Department, the Parks Department is extremely busy with park and facility maintenance projects. Park supplies and materials continue to be ordered and delivered. We're maintaining mowing and trimming that has been very difficult this spring, but we're finally getting a break in that growth. I don't know if it'll continue with the rain. Our seasonal laborers started shifts right after Memorial Day. Our July 4th celebration is returning to full scale, and the Parks Department is busy making plans and preparations for the enhanced programming. Our park staff is still working hard to accommodate and manage athletic field use requests, as well as field maintenance demands. The department has completed its capital improvement plan requests for various park areas for the period of 2024 to 2026. And finally, the Parks Department has organized a program with participating St. John's Meadows seniors to work together to construct new bluebird boxes and bat houses for the parks. And then from our recreation department, just a short notice that registration for our summer programming is still in progress. Resident registration and non-resident registration is ongoing for all programs. For full details and program offerings, and those are available at our website, www.townofbrighton.org/rec, R-E-C. Or you can also call the Recreation Department with any questions. That number is 585-784-5260, extension 0. Our Brighton Farmers Market is in its outdoor season at the Brighton High School parking lot, 1150 Winton Road South, on Sundays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Upcoming events, our supervisor already mentioned our Town of Brighton Juneteenth celebration, which will be here at Town Hall on the front lawn, 2300 Elmwood Avenue on Friday, June 16th at 12 noon. Our Sustainability Oversight Committee Climate Action Plan Open House, where we will unveil the draft Climate Action Plan and the 2022 Greenhouse Gas Inventory, will take place at the Brighton Town Hall lobby on Thursday, June 29th at 5 p.m., and that is directly preceding the town board meeting that same evening. Our Town of Brighton July 4th celebration will be at Meridian Center Park on July 4th. The Town of Brighton's celebration begins at 8 a.m. at the Meridian Center Park with the July 4th 5K race, and from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. there will be food trucks, vendors, live music, and entertainment and youth activities. The Sky Coasters will play us into our evening fireworks display at 9:50 p.m. And then our Brighton Pride flag raising will be at Brighton Town Hall on Friday, July 7th?
Yes.
Friday, July 7th at 12 noon. The next meeting of the Community Services Committee will be on Wednesday, June 21st at 9:30 a.m. or immediately following our Finance and Administrative Services Committee meeting. And that will occur at the Brookside Recreation Center multipurpose room. Please access the Recreation Department through the Winton Road entrance. And as always, members of the public are encouraged and invited to attend.
Thanks, Robin. Just one quick question. I know there had been discussion of whether the 5K race on the 4th of July would move back to the roads and back to the high school. But there was also some question about construction at the high school and whether that was going to be problematic.
Yes, and I do think we will be discussing that item in the Community Services Committee meeting.
Great,
So
great.
I will table that until then, but more information.
Super. I mean, I hope we can do it on the streets.
Yeah.
That the capacity for the race is a lot
Yeah.
bigger, and I know the runners, of which I am not one, but seem to enjoy that. But either way, it's a great race.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Thanks. Okay.
Yeah.
And thanks for the whole report, Robin. Jason, Finance Administrative Services.
Yes, the Finance and Administrative Services Committee met last Wednesday, June 7th. The beginning of the meeting started, as Mr. Zuber had indicated earlier on, with a presentation by him and Mike DeBatz from the Mengel, Metzger, and Barr Company to present the 2022 financial statements to the Finance Committee and review the executive summary in the letter of communication. And as Mr. Zuber indicated, the reports were all positive. In addition, each of the other items that were discussed in committee appear on tonight's agenda and will be discussed and voted on in further detail. Our next meeting will take place next Wednesday, June 21st. We meet here in the main auditorium at Town Hall at 8:30 in the morning, and the public is invited to attend.
Thanks, Jason. Chris, Public Safety.
Thanks, Bill. Our Public Safety Committee met yesterday, Tuesday, June 13. We had reports from the various services. First, Brighton Ambulance reported that they had 744 requests for services throughout May, with a total of 571 being within the Brighton Ambulance District and 213 Brighton residents receiving services. Also, they responded to 61 calls for mutual aid. Total Brighton volunteer ambulance requests for services this year up to June 1, 3,527, which is an increase of only 1.5%, which is a significant reduction than other years, which is good. Sounds like we're on back to a normal level again. Also, the Ambulance Corps noted that New York Senate had passed legislation requiring private insurance companies to provide payment directly to the ambulance agencies, which will enhance their cash flow. Brighton Fire Department reported that they have approximately 1,100 calls year to date, and calls of significance since the last meeting were 2 working fires, one on Boniface Drive on May 17 and one on Irving Road June 1. Also, they had a hazmat call in Edgewood involving a spill of approximately 60 gallons of home heating fuel into a basement. They reported that the PGA concluded with no major incidents where they were stationed and provided significant assistance in the event. One career firefighter graduated the academy this Friday, and another starts the academy in Henrietta in mid-August. They have 6 new volunteer firefighters joining the Corps, 3 of which have prior experience. Brighton Department of Public Works, Commissioner Garcia reported that the chip sealing has been concluded for the season. Paving projects are underway with roadways to be milled and filled this year, as noted on the town's website. Crews are currently working on Doncaster, Poplar, and sections of Idlewood. Brighton Police Department reported that they had 21,319 calls for service to the end of May. They also reported on their annual bike rodeo on June the 4th, which had 55 participants. And during the week, May 22 through June 4, BUNY Education and Enforcement Campaign was undertaken.
Buckle Up New York.
Buckle Up New York. You know, I had to look it up on Google and I couldn't find it. Bunny, that's all I got. Buckle Up New York Education Enforcement Campaign was undertaken with 10 grant-funded details in working. 67 traffic stops, 78 all right, I'll go with this one, 78 UTTs.
Uniform traffic ticket.
Oh, uniform traffic tickets. You know, I'm the chair of public safety. I should be better educated.
We love our acronyms. We have a lot of them.
Acronyms, you have to give me some training. 4 of which were seatbelts and 6 traffic arrests. June 12th through the 18th will be Speed Awareness Week, so we're in that now. There will be an open house August the 8th, and September 24th will be the public safety event at the Farmers Market. Henrietta Fire District, year-to-date calls in the entire district were 2,870. Calls in West Brighton, 389, but no calls of note in West Brighton. They're planning on hiring 4 firefighters in July for the August Academy in anticipation of retirements, and they're hiring a new district mechanic due to a retirement. Old business. We discussed pedestrian and turn signals at various intersections along Monroe Avenue. Commissioner Garcia continues to have correspondence with Department of Transportation about these projects, particularly in the context of the project which will repave Monroe Avenue in 2026 and 2027. Also, the Winton and Westfall intersection will be discussed at the upcoming meeting with the Monroe County Department of Transportation. Also, the town speed reduction report is awaited after data collection, which was done last week on Group 1 streets. They'll continue with their investigation, and we hope to have a presentation to town board before the beginning of the next school year. A resident came in and asked about the ability to plant signs along North Landing Road regarding an autistic child. And he also asked about speed along that route, being the intention of the sign to get people to slow down. He was pleased to hear that we were undertaking that town-wide speed reduction study, and which we expect will result in reducing speed along North Landing to 25 miles an hour. And Commissioner Garcia is looking for the criteria for an autism child sign along that route. Also, a resident raised an issue by email to me regarding the potential for a crosswalk across Highland Avenue near Grosvenor Road, Pelham Road, Council Rock, et cetera, to help with kids crossing the street to the Council Rock School. We discussed the fact that we don't have criteria for crosswalks on town roads, and that's something that Commissioner Garcia and Council will undertake and see what seems to be appropriate. One of the difficult issues was the lack of a sidewalk on that side and how children would be able to transit along the side without sidewalks without a crosswalk, or to get to the crosswalk. So all of that's under discussion. Also, review of potential rapid rectangular flashing beacons. And is that what the text is? This refers to installation of rapid flashing buttons. I assume we mean
Beacons, yeah.
rapid rectangular flashing beacons for various crosswalk locations, and we were provided a map of those that are under study. Also, the same resident that asked about, another resident that communicated with me asked about crosswalks across North Landing Road, and also asked about the possibility of installing a traffic control signal at Blossom at North Landing and Browncroft at North Landing. That has been under discussion many times with the New York State Department of Transportation. Our feeling is they ought to have one there, would make those intersections much safer. We continue to get resistance because of the grades involved and stopped vehicles being able to, having difficulty then starting again at a stoplight, but we'll continue to discuss options. Next meeting will be July 11, 2023 at 0800 hours, and we're very and the public is very welcome. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Chris. Christine?
And immediately following Public Safety, Public Works Committee met yesterday morning. We covered numerous topics. There was an update on the town hall study. InX Architecture is working to finalize the contract amendment for additional professional services to evaluate clean heating and cooling solutions as part of the town hall renovations project. The additional evaluation is anticipated to take up to 6 weeks, and it will help guide the town in finalizing the scope of the overall town hall project. The West Henrietta Road traffic light timing review, we received an update on that. That refers to the intersections at Southland and Doncaster intersections. Town staff received an update from the New York State Department of Transportation regarding a statewide optimization contract. The New York State DOT representative indicated that their consultant, GPI, will be evaluating these recently implemented optimization and timing updates along that corridor. And that is part of a statewide corridor review. GPI will be reviewing various parameters associated with the changes, such as travel speed, lane utilization, travel time through the corridor, and delays. State DOT has indicated that they have relayed the town residents' comments back to GPI so that GPI may incorporate them into their optimization strategy. And the committee asked that town staff inquire of the state DOT or GPI whether a public portal is available for public comment related to the project.
Because that was one of our frustrations, that they're supposedly looking for input, and yet they didn't make, not only did they not make the public aware, they didn't make us. They told nobody about
Perhaps
this
that was
project.
part of their strategy. See if we notice
Very
the
frustrating.
change.
Very
and
fr-
then
and
see
I'm
if we
glad,
follow
I'm
up.
glad some folks over there did.
So, and it's been just over 24 hours, so I assume you have not heard any answer on that one yet.
No, not yet.
In new business, the Department of Public Works staff was contacted by the owners of Rochester 100, who indicated that they are interested in forming a sanitary sewer district for their property located at 40 Jefferson Road. After reviewing documents, town staff concluded that this district extension should be evaluated by the town of Henrietta as the effluent from the property discharges into Henrietta and not into a town of Brighton sewer system. If the district extension is approved by Henrietta, then sewer charges will be levied to the Brighton property, and town staff will continue to work with the town of Henrietta staff to move that project along. 2024 refuse districts updates were provided. Town staff provided an update on refuse district extension requests received this year for consideration for 2024. Staff have reviewed documents submitted and determined that 6 district extension requests are complete, and they will be submitted to the town board for final approval at a later date. We received updates on Monroe County Department of Transportation projects. I thank Commissioner Garcia for tidying up our agenda so we get our county DOT updates in one fell swoop and our state DOT projects in another fell swoop. So County DOT, the Elmwood Avenue Road Diet, which proposes to mill and fill Elmwood Avenue from the city line to Winton Road, and will include installation of dedicated bike lanes, will be constructed in conjunction with a county project on Dewey Avenue, which is also a repavement project. The distinction being Brighton gets bike lanes. Dewey Avenue may not. The work is anticipated to begin in late July in Brighton. And one element of that project to facilitate safety and appropriate usage of lanes, no standing signs will be installed along the road diet portion of the corridor at the conclusion of the project. Additionally, Westfall Road will receive surface treatment from the town line to Lac de Ville. That'll be a Nova chip application, which is a fancy term. Tell us about Nova chips.
It's more proprietary, very similar to our standard chip seal product. It's just a bigger stone, is my understanding, and sets faster. I don't know if the county's used this before, but I'd be interested to see how it works out.
It'll be interesting. And does the county have a portal for folks to provide feedback on the difference in the chip size?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't believe so.
That work is expected to occur in late July with surface treatment application in early August. State DOT projects, we received an update on the I-590 bridges. That project will replace the bridges on I-590 over Route 31, which is Monroe Avenue, and rehabilitate the bridges on 590 that go over Allen's Creek here in the town. Bid opening for the project is expected in the fall of 2024, with construction running from 2025 through 2026. And once that is completed, the Monroe Avenue corridor improvements can begin, and that project will repave Route 31 from the city of Rochester to I-590 in Brighton. And my understanding is that the total project extends all the way to the Erie Canal. Bid opening for the project is expected in the summer of 2026, construction in 2026 through 2027. And last, we had an update on the West Henrietta Road corridor improvements. That project will enhance the Route 15 corridor from Jefferson Road to I-390 in Brighton and Henrietta. The project proposes to address pavement condition and drainage concerns, provide bicycle and pedestrian accommodations, and upgrade the traffic signal system. And bids will open for that project in the winter of 2027-28, with construction in 2028-29. And last, the Public Works Committee reviewed the following trees for removal and replacement. The Tree Council, as is standard, previously reviewed the trees and concurred with the recommendation to remove and replace. And those trees are the 52-inch silver maple at 40 Carverdale Drive, 48-inch silver maple at 78 Torrington Drive, a 29-inch silver sugar maple at 606 Claiborne, a 19-inch silver maple at 614 Claiborne, a 23-inch Norway maple at 88 Cheswell Way, and a 44-inch silver maple at 272 Sylvan Road. The next meeting of the Public Works Committee will be on July 11th at 9 a.m. or following the close of the Public Works Committee, the Public Safety Committee, which is regularly speedy and efficient.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christine. And I think a couple of those trees that are smaller than 30 inches will not have to go through the full.
They don't meet the
Public
standard of
hearing
being a
process, yeah.
significant tree.
Okay, moving on to new business. Jason, reading and approval of claims.
Yes, Bill, earlier today I reviewed claims totaling $925,132.48. Notable claims include to the Depository Trust Company in the amount of $38,753.13, representing payment for the 2015 serial bonds covering the Salt Barn roof, Fairfield culvert, and the East Avenue sewer relining, and of the amount paid, $35,000 went toward principal. Also to Greene County Commercial Bank in the amount of $85,411.25, representing payment for the 2016A serial bond covering the Highland Crossing Trail, dump truck, flusher truck, and library HVAC unit, and of the amount paid, $80,000 went toward principal. Also to North Shore Chevrolet in the amount of $36,994.18, representing payment for a 2023 Blazer for the police department. And finally to Building Innovation Group in the amount of $194,153.40, representing payment for general contracting services for Phase 3 of the Winter Farmers Market. The claims all appear to be in order, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
Any discussion on any of those? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Christine?
Yes, the next matter seeks to amend the non-represented employee salary and wage schedule and the authorized table of organization in the Facilities Department to reflect the creation of a Maintenance Mechanic 2 position, abolish the laborer position, and add one cleaner position. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And this is to address some ongoing needs in our building maintenance area, particularly as we continue to look at projects like the Winter Market and others taking up more and more of our time. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with public sector HR consultants to develop and implement an employee handbook in an amount not to exceed $6,500 and amend the budget by transferring $4,000 from the undistributed account to the personnel account to cover a portion of the cost. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
If I could just provide a very brief clarification. The resolution was amended that you have in your packet. You have the right one in your packet now. To clarify that the $6,500 expense is for the fee portion of this services. There may be out-of-pocket expenses. In fact, it is expected that there will be some travel. Ms. Van Putty estimates that to be an additional cost of some $350, but the resolution authorizes a fee not to exceed $6,500.
Thanks, Ken. Anything further? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mailer?
Aye. Robin?
Certainly. The next matter seeks to award a bid contract to CGL Arbor Services for the treatment of emerald ash borer in an amount not to exceed $30,010.50 and authorize the supervisor to execute any necessary change orders. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
This is an ongoing part of, we've been talking about this for years. We treat ash trees along town streets as well as along the Brickyard Trail. And the treatment protocol calls for an every 3-year treatment. And based on what we continue to hear, Everett, we've had very good success. Those treated trees have had a very, very high survival rate.
That is correct, Supervisor. The trees continue to live and thrive as they were, and so we'd like to continue the program.
And those are great trees, and I remember when we first became aware of the emerald ash borer, one of the things that surprised me is that Monroe County had the highest percentage of ash trees in its, countywide tree canopy of any county in New York State. And they particularly like wetter soils, and there are certain parts of Brighton that have a lot of those wet soils. So this is an important program to keep those trees thriving. Any further comments? If not, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Christine?
The next matter seeks to amend the budget by increasing the revenue and expense in the Highway Department to reflect an unanticipated increase in New York State transportation funding in the amount of $38,669.04. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
And that additional funding allowed us to pave more streets in this year's cycle. So we appreciate it. It's always a challenge keeping up with the infrastructure, but that did make a difference.
It does, yes.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to amend the budget by transferring up to $2,500 from the Office of the Town Clerk's part-time wages account to the office furniture account for the purchase of 2 standing desks. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Dan, anything to on this?
Yeah, we tried, they have those desktop standing things that you can use. And, we kind of went that route at first to kind of just see if people really used them and if they really found that they were helpful. And we have taken to them and used them quite regularly. So decided that it was worth the investment in the actual desk, which is a lot more functional than those. So we'll get the actual, standing desks up and down, and those tabletop ones can be dispersed to other folks in the town to help the,
Good.
ongoing health efforts.
Great. Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter seeks to amend the budget by appropriating funds to complete the financial dissolution of the West Brighton Fire Protection District and authorize the Finance Department to make the necessary entries for said dissolution. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Discussion on this? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Robin?
The next matter seeks to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Paula Parker for consulting services. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the town attorney.
Second.
Of course, Paula is our former finance director. This is really just on an as-needed basis, so we have an arrangement in place should we need any services. Earl, you're jumping right in and getting into the busiest time of the year, but should we need any further consulting services from Paula, we'll have them available under the terms of that contract. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement with the Monroe County for Tyler Technologies, Inc., to install records management software in the police department. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Actually, I was on a call with other members of the executive group of the Monroe County Council of Governments today. We talked about this contract a little bit because it is something that Monroe County is doing throughout the county. It's really sort of an upgrade to some existing software, and it will continue to be at no cost to participating towns. It's a great shared services commitment from Monroe County to improve just some of the records management and logistics of our police agencies. We have a motion and a second on that. Any further discussion? If there's none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Christine?
Supervisor, sorry, if I could just jump in for half a second. One of those standing desks was just claimed by our deputy Public Works Commissioner. Is home watching the meeting, so Steve, my desk has your name on it.
Didn't take long.
I love it.
Hot properties.
All right, well, moving from the sublime to the hazardous.
Into the, yes. So the next matter seeks to approve the Monroe County Hazard Mitigation Plan in accordance with the Federal Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Everett, is there anything you want to discuss about this?
Sure, yeah. Pursuant to the Federal Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000, all municipalities and governments are required to have an approved disaster mitigation plan in order to continue participation in the hazard mitigation grant program during a national or disaster event. And as such, Monroe County and all of its municipalities have taken upon to co-author such a plan. That has to be updated every 5 years. So our last update was in 2017, and so there's a new plan started work in 22, and FEMA has since approved the updated plan, the 2023 hazard mitigation plan, pursuant to local adoption from each municipality.
Great, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeFazio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. And Christine, one last matter of new business.
Last matter is to set a public hearing for the removal and replacement of a 52-inch silver maple at 40 Carver Dale Drive, a 48-inch silver maple at 78 Torrington Drive, and a 44-inch silver maple at 272 Sylvan Road. The public hearing would be set for July 12th at 7 p.m. I move that we adopt the resolution before us.
Second.
Again, as noted, some of those trees that were discussed at the Public Works Committee meeting do not require the full public hearing town board process, just based on their size. Any discussion on setting the public hearing?
Looking at these pictures, These are old giants.
Yes, they
and
are.
Removal are gonna make a big difference in these neighborhoods.
Silver maple, silver maple, silver maple, silver maple.
All
There are
maples.
safety
And the
issues.
replacements will not be silver maples.
That's
We
correct.
have a
Yes.
robust list of native trees that sustain, that live better.
Yes.
And longer.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, we do have expense and revenue reports for the months of both April and May. Of course, we have a more robust presentation from our finance director quarterly, so we don't have any action to take other than to receive and file those reports tonight. Can I have a motion to receive and file those?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please
Excuse me.
call the roll. Bless you.
I was not sneezing at the financial reports. Those are nothing to sneeze at.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Matters of the town attorney.
I have a few matters that I need to discuss with the board in executive session. There is one real estate matter, one matter involving an update on Whole Foods litigation, and one matter involving an update on CCA litigation.
We'll discuss each of those in executive session if you so move shortly. Thank you. Matters of the town clerk.
I have nothing this evening.
Matters of the town board.
Nothing further.
Then can I have a motion to go into executive session to discuss the real estate and the two matters of litigation raised by the town attorney?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilt?
Aye.
Councilmember Corrado?
Aye.
Supervisor Malley?
Aye. Thank you, everybody. I don't expect, by the way, that we will come back into open session after the executive session. So I want to make a point of noting that our next town board meeting will be held on Thursday, June 29th at 7 p.m. That is because of the Eid holiday that begins on Wednesday, June 28th. I also want to, and of course, as was mentioned earlier, immediately following the community meeting on our climate action plan that starts at 5 o'clock on June 29th. So come out and see them both. Thank you to our ASL interpreters, Heather and Allie. We really appreciate your work. And have a good night, everybody. Be safe.
Thank you very much.